everybody, and welcome to bonus podcast from MinnMax, which is also technically New Show Plus. Jeff, you know how this works, right?
Don't I?
Don't you? New Show Plus.
We give the community options. Mm-hmm. They vote which show they want. Each week, a new show they could have, but they keep on voting for just a plain old bonus podcast.
Well, in a way, isn't that like what relationships are like? Like you wake up every day and you could vote to choose a new relationship. And we're all in loving, committed relationships, and we choose every day to vote for the same thing. So are we not fallible as well?
I never thought of it that way.
Don't think about it that way.
You probably shouldn't think about it that way.
It's terrible.
I'm being honest.
It's truly terrible. But hello, this is bonus podcast. So New Show Plus, we let $10 supporters at the Backstage Pass tier. Not only do we let them support us in a big bad way, which we appreciate. Hang on, just because I'm doing a plug, you all are taking the sip of a lifetime.
Yeah, this is how it works when you're, this is the non-host share perspective. Yeah. It's like, I'm drinking until I don't have to drink, but it's coffee, guys, don't worry.
Yeah. Ooh, we could combine New Show Plus and the bonus podcast with Nintendo on Wine, and we could do
I think about Nintendo, I want to let you get through your spiel, but I think about Nintendo on Wine approximately once a week.
Really? Every time you're drinking wine, mainly?
No, I don't drink wine that often. I just think about, like, every now and then in my mind, I just vividly see us, because, well, it gets mixed in with the Santa thing that we did where we were playing like holiday games. But I just think about how us talking about the Bible and then you being like, no, I really want to do like more Bible content. And like, Ben's so freaking weird. And I like love how weird Ben is.
Thank you.
I don't know. It was just a fun time. And I'm like, oh man, like drinking wine, talking about God, like just playing some games I've never heard of, like losing at that one game that I still don't know the name of. Like, you know, who could forget?
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, Puyo Puyo maybe?
Not Puyo Puyo. Well, is it called Puyo Puyo?
Oh, it's Panel de Pon.
It's like
Panel
the Versus thing.
Yes. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the thing.
Good.
Here's the thing, everybody. Every week, we let $10 supporters vote. And for the fourth week in a row now, this is a Hall of Famer with the likes of Sarah the Horse Girl and House Hunter Rise. It's the only three that have ever made it to 4 in a row. Bonus podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you're watching this on Twitch, thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can always give us a follow on Twitch. We'd appreciate it. We stream 2 times a week, and we'd love to have your nice little follow thing. But we also put this in the Patreon exclusive podcast feed, which you get if you support us at the $5 tier. And this week, I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in that Monday meeting, we were spitballing ideas, and I was like, okay, Uncharted 4 multiplayer, we could all jump into that. Okay, that stands a chance. There's a Windjammers 2 game, and Bob Buell in the community is all about Windjammers 2, so maybe we can have a New Show Plus option that's called Duel with Buell, and I think the community will really rally for their own and put Buell over the top for that vote. Did not happen. And then what I thought was the shoe-in was a show called Magazine Memories, where we would have just read through old issues of Nintendo Power and like shown off every page and just talked about it. It would basically have been a retro gaming podcast anyway. And people said no. People said, give us the bonus podcast one more time. So that's why we're here, I guess.
Give us the normal thing.
Yeah. So if you didn't get the idea, we're joined by Jeffem and Janet Garcia, the Fightin' Jays.
Hello.
Hello. Janet, sincerely, I should probably announce for this crowd that we're tackling Pokemon Legends Arceus for the Deepest Dive. That is going to be the next Deepest Dive. It's coming out this Friday, and the first discussion is going to be early next week. So we need you to submit your comment if you want to participate in the Deepest Dive, which is a huge community game club, the best, most thorough discussion about Pokemon Legends Arceus on the internet. If you want to submit your thoughts and have us read it during our discussion, you can support us on Patreon at the $2 tier and then submit it on the 31st of January here. But genuinely, I did have that moment where I was thinking like, I want to do more polls for the Deepest Dive in the future. Maybe I should just put it up on Twitter, just a one-day poll. Should we do the Deepest Dive on Pokemon Legends Arceus, or should we do it on Ecclesiastes, the book from the Bible? Just like, Jeffem, what do you think would have won? Because we got a freaky community, we got an interesting community, but Pokemon is big.
I think Pokemon would have beat the Bible at that point.
You're saying, this is some real John Lennon stuff, you're saying Pokemon's bigger than the Bible.
Were you going to put the Bible in parentheses so people knew what it was?
Do people not know what Ecclesiastes is?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I would not have known offhand.
It's the most interesting book of the Bible.
For a while, I followed the Bible, but did I read the Bible? That's a different, it's like, right. I'm a gamer, but am I playing games? Like, whoa, let's not get crazy here. Okay, we got some stuff downloaded, but last night I just like laid around and scrolled TikTok. So you tell me.
How is TikTok going?
It's going good. I mean, I love it as a platform. As far as me making content, oh man, I am not good at it. I'm just so lazy with it. I just don't do it. Though I'm going live today at, I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say 4 my time, PT, with Nanobiologist. And we're just going to be talking about games and stuff on there. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm much more of a consumer than a creator. In my head, I'm like, when I get this new iPhone, like I'm going to just be so excited to like make all this content. No, that wasn't true. But I love the new iPhone though. I've yet to pay off the iPhone with the content that I am going to make theoretically. But
I don't think anybody in the world has ever done that since iPhones are so expensive. I don't want to get you to dish some good insider secrets and stuff, but I thought it was interesting this year that it seems like an internal discussion was had with Kind of Funny about like, we're going to lean more into TikTok. So we're going to put our clips up on TikTok. Has that been, rate the success of that so far? Because I mean, Anna was screaming at us, Jeff, you remember a long time ago, but just you idiots go on TikTok. It's like, I don't know if brands and TikTok are really a good combo.
I mean, I think the most successful gaming TikTok currently is IGN's TikTok, which is like massively successful.
Oh, really?
In my opinion. I'd have to pull up the numbers. I think they're doing pretty well. I'm not sure when they started trying. I think they haven't been trying for too long because I see they have like, a couple dozen videos maybe, and they're already almost at the 10K, which is what you need to like monetize the platform. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going pretty well. I think Roger's in charge of it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's the vibe I get. And it's also good because there was an account before. It actually might have been the same name. They might have just either asked the person nicely or bought it out. But there was another Kind of Funny that was like a fan account. And at first, when I first saw it, I did think that was Kind of Funny. And I was like, oh yeah, like what's up? And then I was like, oh man, this is just actually a fan. This isn't my coworker. So I think it's just, it's super great that they have that in there. I mean, like, it just makes sense to be on TikTok. Like, it's a huge platform and I don't think it's going away, so.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere, Jeff. Have you ever looked at a TikTok in your life, Jeff Marchiafava?
I've seen some TikToks, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever an article pops up in my feed that's like, people are singing sea shanties on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't have the TikTok app, but if they embed it into a story, I've seen.
Right.
But like, IGN has 2.7 million followers on TikTok.
Jesus. Yeah, okay. It's something. Hey, you know what? It's something to think about. That's always my favorite thing with Leo back at Game Informer. It was my favorite thing, but also my least favorite thing, is whenever you'd have a meeting, or even like Leo and I would talk about something like, yeah, video, we're kind of struggling with this. Maybe there's something we can do to fix this problem. And then there's no other place to leave the meeting than just, well, it's something to think about. And like, that's just the kiss of death for any action. And I feel like that's the phase we've been in with TikTok. It's like, well, I know it's huge. It's something to think about. And I feel like, I guess without revealing the specifics, but I feel like in our Monday meeting, even this week, we're talking about like ads on the podcast and stuff. And it's like, the conclusion is it's something to think about, which means there's no trigger being pulled in any direction for any corporate conundrum. Which is mainly what our Monday meetings are about, I think, is just unraveling all corporate conundrums for this thing.
It's that and like a lot of, here's a pretty good idea and let's think of 8 really not good names for it.
For New Show Plus?
The 10th one that we come up with after the fact of discussing the other 8. That's a lot of the content we do is just puns.
You know what though, Hanson? You figured out MinnMax when it counted, and that was pretty much the only name that we really made.
Which I still like. At some point, Leo's like, I'd give it a 7 out of 10 as a name. I'm like, okay. I think I'm in like in the 8 out of 10 territory.
I like it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I get a thrill out of the name MinnMax.
Does Leo understand the 2 N's though? Also stands for Minnesota.
He doesn't. No one tell him. It's kind of a spoiler.
I don't think I knew that until somebody mentioned it at some point. I think that I like the 2 N's because it differentiates, but I wonder how much the 2 N's messes people up. Yeah. But it didn't mess me up. When I heard MinnMax, I was like, I just knew it and I like never forgot it, but maybe that wasn't everyone's experience.
Yeah, but I get a real thrill about listening to other gaming podcasts, and every time they mention min-maxing, I feel like, it's kind of like a secret little plug. Same way when people say Kind of Funny. I'm sure the Kind of Funny folks are always like, hell yeah, accidental plug. Because like sometimes on podcasts, other gaming podcasts, they'll say MinnMax and then be like, but it's not a plug, like, and they'll accidentally acknowledge us in a way, it's very fun.
It's like when that would happen for Beyond still with like God, with Beyond, right? iTunes Space Station podcast, because that's just such a natural word to like say at some point, and then you're like, oh, Beyond, like, you know, yeah.
Right. It happens all the time with Markia Fava too. When you're listening to podcasts, and people are like, Markia Fava. Oh, accidental plug. What is the etymology of that name, Jeff?
Italian.
Do you know where it comes from?
I don't know that there's any etymology. I don't think it's like grapes and sunshine stuck together.
Hang on, I'm looking at the history here.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, it says grapes and sunshine stuck together. It's just giving me the definition of surname. What did your Markia Fava ancestors do for a living? In 1940, shoemaker and seamstress were the top reported jobs for men and women in the U.S. named Markia Fava. 50% of Markia Fava women worked as a seamstress.
That doesn't seem
believable.
It's good, honest work.
Between 1953 and 2004 in the United States, Markia Fava life expectancy was at its lowest point in 1953 and the highest in 1992.
It was a bad year for us. Yeah.
It was. What do you think was the... This is what you come to Bonus Podcast for. What was the average life expectancy for a Markia Fava in 2004, Janet?
Oh, God. 2004? Do I have any more information, or it's just the vibes?
I mean, you have the health of Jeff.
61.
61? What are they, Neanderthals?
I don't know. Well, is it like normal? Like, what's the average one for like men? And then I guess I divide by like what is it, like 70?
Hey, let's look it up. 2004
I feel like people don't actually live that long. Like,
okay, let's look at
chat 33. I hope it was higher than 33.
I'm beating the odds.
Okay, so average life expectancy in 2004 was 77.8 years, and the average Markia Fava life expectancy was 75 years.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, okay. See? Wow.
Okay, like my 60 something, like 10 years is a lot of time, but also it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it just starts to blend together. You know How long do you think you're going to live, Ben? Let's get really dark here and honest for a second.
I would love to get dark and honest. To the point that I was thinking this is a weird note to start this thing on, but I was thinking that this week for the main podcast, we're going to do predictions. And I was laying in bed last night. I didn't have like a rough night or anything, but I was laying in bed and I was like, what if I just sincerely leaned into one of my predictions being, I will die this year? Like,
one of us will not make it. One of you will betray me, you know? Again, Stop the Bible. If you know, you know. It's a secret plug for the Bible. For those who aren't going to know.
Read Ecclesiastes, y'all. Do you think that would have been too dark for the podcast, Jeff? If I was just like sincere, like this is just my prediction. Like I'm not going to end my own life, but if I was a gambling man, I would gamble that I would die this year in 2022.
Yeah, probably a little dark for a video game prediction podcast.
All right, well, to each their own.
There's always one person who doesn't get the assignment. It's like, all right, you're going out of scope. Like, let's reel it back in.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. Maybe I have been in a weird dark place recently. I was just thinking. I think even today about like. I think because like I did something that hurt a little bit. I forget what it was. Like stubbed my toe or something. And I remember thinking like. This is dark stuff, but this is a good spot for it. I was thinking like, God, I bet when I die, it's going to hurt a lot more than this. I bet that's going to hurt a lot.
I don't know. That's so scary. It doesn't have to, right? You can like die peacefully.
I guess.
You know, like in your sleep or something.
Yeah, but that's
not
like,
handsome.
I think I always think about, and also like, you know, a death warning. If like, you're like, I don't want to hear about death right now for whatever reason, you know, totally fair.
Also death warning, it's coming for you.
Yeah, it comes for us all. Yeah. But like, I always think about how like trippy that would be though if I was like still with someone at the time, or like my partner was still alive, and like just them realizing that I'm like dead. And actually my boyfriend checks on that a lot because he says that I'm really quiet when I sleep. Like he's like, literally, like sometimes I'll lean in to make sure you're still breathing because I'm like, maybe you're dead. Like, I don't know. I don't have to do that because he's like a pretty loud sleeper. Like he'll like sleep talk sometimes or snore, or he'll just like I'm never also I'm asleep. So I'm like, I don't wake up and worry that you're dead, but you have that with me a lot. Thanks for checking that I'm not dead though. Appreciate it.
Wait till you guys have babies.
Oh,
that's 1,000 times worse. And that's like a medical thing. That is just the cool thing. Once you get your precious little baby, it's like, you hear that?
It's dying right now.
That baby's a
he's
paid
remembering
actor.
it right now. Yeah. But like, the sudden, I don't even want to say it. It's like Voldemort. You don't even mention what it's called, but there's a term for it, and they can happen anytime.
It's the villain from Toy Story 1. What is that? What is happening physically to create that?
I don't know. I mean, the thing when they're sleeping, when they're really young, you swaddle them so that they don't roll over, but it's even scarier because then their arms are all like tucked in. But yeah, the idea that like when they're really young, they can just roll over, and if they're on their face and they're asleep, they can just suffocate.
It's so weird hearing a baby
He's
cry.
big enough now that we
this
don't
is
have to
giving
worry
real,
about.
Jeff, be honest. Do you live in that Resident Evil village house that everyone talks about?
Yes.
Benedito or whatever. What's going on over there?
The door's closed. I don't think there's a big hole over by the bed, so
God
I think I'm okay.
And then
for
the
now.
scary thing is like, it's like, oh, actually, like I took the kids out of the house today. Like, I don't know what you're hearing. Like, oh my God, what's happening there?
Do you think, and this is probably a question for Dr. Freud, so as Jeffem likes to say, paging Dr. Freud, I was thinking about this the other day too. Do you think there is just like a weird lingering trauma that is just baked into every human because of being born? Like, it does seem terrible.
Some would say isn't that the first sin, right, Ben?
Or
whatever
I don't know.
what is it called? What's
I didn't
the
go
name
to
of that?
Catholic school, Janet. I don't know.
Really?
No.
You simply must. No, it was just fine. No, but there's like, that's like a school of thought, right? I mean, I guess it's,
But
without
like sin.
not trying to offend anybody, but I guess like a lot of those like, stories and ideologies are original sense, what it's called, are explanations for like general human phenomenon. Like these are things we experience and feel, and like here's a way to like explain those things. So
original sin,
kind of like that.
Original sin is partnering with just the trauma of, isn't it messed up that you're like a little baby in like a warm, wonderful thing where all your food and everything's taken care of you, and then you're forced into some cold nightmare reality? Well,
actual original sin is that you like inherit the sin from Adam and Eve, basically. So everyone's born with sin from that sin, but like you could double it up, and I think it'd be interesting. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's a miracle that anyone remains alive, given how easy it is to die as an infant. Which also, I guess, kind of eases my fears. I'm like, if my parents, no shade, but some shade, if my parents kept us alive, I think me having any semblance of like fear will compound the likelihood that that's not something to be that afraid of. But I don't know.
Yeah, and I know this is scary with Jeff with the new kid. I think about that all the time too, Jam, but then it's like, I just don't think you hear much from families, and they aren't represented well in media, that have really devastating things happen to them with their children. Right?
Yeah. Other than like the indie game space really carrying that torch. They're like, what's every awful thing that could happen? This is our newest game.
Game of the year. Yeah.
So good.
Okay, but here's my question. Like the trauma of being born. It's like, I know this is really some, this is a plug for Patreon with the way you two are sipping here. But yeah, this is some real, this is some real Freud stuff. But like, or just as a psychologist in general, perhaps. But just how much could possibly be baked in from like the first 2 days of existence? Like if you were born and it was just scary clown jump scares for 2 days straight, would that genuinely have an impact on your mentality today?
Oh, now we're talking. This is like, this is like the psychology that was done that like made the basis for what we know today. But then they're like, all of these things were very unethically done and we'd never do these experiments again. But I feel like they've had stuff like that, right? Like, oh God,
2 days
like,
of jump scares?
No, but like with the monkey, like if anyone in chat knows this, like they have those monkeys where they would like have one monkey like have a mom and the other one would have like a robot mom, and like it'd be like kind of scary looking and they'd try to like hug it, and it was like really like traumatic and horrible, but they were like trying to dig into like elements of that. If anyone knows, this is like so specific. If you took AP Psych, you're very familiar with this study, but other than that, not really. But
so the monkeys like the robot mom?
No, they don't. I think it's like you're supposed to have a loving mom and like a not loving mom or something. Let's see.
It's called
like
the dad.
I'm trying not to type because it's loud. Monkey experiment Psych. I don't know. I'll find it.
Yeah, thanks for the sub, by
Harlow's
the way.
Monkeys. Yeah,
Okay.
it's Harlow is the psychologist that did that.
And what's he doing
Aaron
with
J.
those
Bear
monkeys?
also with the Harlow. The fact that you know Harlow off the top of your head,
Yeah.
Aaron J. Bear, what don't you know? Because
Yeah.
like you also answer all the gaming stuff. So what's going on here?
Jeffem says goodbye. Aaron J. Bear says hello. So what is he doing with those monkeys?
Oh man, now I have to like look into it. I feel like now I'm like the kid that didn't do the reading.
That's fine.
Let's see. What is it? I'm like just really pulling from Google here. Get back to me because I'm gonna look it up. But
Okay. Yeah, Jeffem, do you think it's worth society running that test on a baby? The 2 days of jump scares test?
no.
What's the worst that could happen?
No, probably not. You know, I think I want to believe that that's kind of built into the baby brain having not fully been developed yet. That it's like,
Right.
That's nature's way of saying like, look, some shit's going to happen when you're a little baby that you wouldn't be able to understand. So you're just not going to remember any of it.
Yeah, what have you learned about babies' brains so far? Other than the fact that they're delicious. I don't know. That's not a joke. Go ahead. Yes, answer the question, Jeff.
That's not a joke.
That wasn't a joke.
So you're serious.
Wait a minute.
You
That wasn't
sick
a joke.
freak.
I mean, that was a joke. That was a joke. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the baddest I feel is whenever we take him to the doctor, he has to get like 4 shots in his legs.
Oh.
And he's just sitting there staring at us, crying. It's called vaccine, Hanson.
4 shots in your legs?
Pretty much every time, every couple months. There's a ton of vaccines they want the kid to get, like kids in general, when they're young. And so they just like load them up.
And you're saying your baby takes it like a champ, but adults just whine and cry about having to get a vaccine?
No, he screams and cries, and I feel terrible every time. But then, like 2 minutes afterwards, he's totally fine and doesn't seem to care anymore. So I don't know. I don't know that the 2 days of scary clowns,
right?
Although if it was for 2 days, like nonstop, and then he saw a clown afterwards, he'd probably be pretty freaked out.
At age 15? Would he be freaked out of the clown? That's my question.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Now I'm scared if Hanson ever is like, I'm having a kid, everybody. I'm like, oh God, put the clowns away.
Also, I'm going to clown college. I'm running out of time. I have 9 months.
Harlow's thing, it's about like surrogate mothers versus biological mothers. So they had like the robot mom and the real mom. And the question they were exploring is the bond between mother and child purely based on a physiological need? Or is there like the love involved or whatever? And like spoilers, like love matters to like the sanity of a child.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Interstellar taught me that.
Such a good movie. Did you cry during Interstellar? What's the last movie you cried at, Ben?
Man, wonderful question. I've cried so much. This again sounds really dark. Recently to movies. I swear to God, it was not that long ago. What did I watch? It wasn't Tragedy of Macbeth that made me cry. Oh, you know what it was? It was we talked about it a little bit on MinnMax Council this week, but not a movie, but Cheer, the Netflix series Cheer. Have you watched that?
No.
It's very good. The second season.
Wait, like cheerleading?
Like cheerleading.
Like that one?
Yeah.
No, I watched like the first episode.
Okay,
so I actually have watched it a little bit.
Okay, yeah, some stuff by the end of the second season, I was just melting down. But we talked about this on a Patreon exclusive discussion with Kyle and I talking about 10 favorite films of 2021. But West Side Story made me cry like a baby. And then I got out of the theater, and my fiance is like, oh, so what was your favorite part? I was like, I think it was America. And then I just cried like for the entire way home because there's something about like Steven Spielberg, my favorite director and guy who's getting up there in years, staging his version of America from West Side Story, which is like a powerful song and such a classical Hollywood thing. That's just like, it was just the clearest definition while watching. Like, this is just the end of an era within the end of an era, And it's just like that just annihilate me on top of like a beautiful song and beautiful choreography. So that was it for me. Jeff, what was the last movie you cried to?
I feel like I've been pretty weepy lately too.
Really?
I think honestly, what I can remember is there were parts, and it's super weird, but Ted Lasso, that would make me, because
Ted Lasso,
I usually go the other way where it's like, I can see sad stuff all day and it doesn't faze me. But when it's like people coming together and working together, or, you know, like the better of humanity is usually what gets me to tear up.
Right.
I don't have anything, I can't think of anything specific, but it was probably like 3 or 4 episodes where I was like, oh man, this is so good.
Yeah, like the wife stuff in particular, I feel like. Is that season 1 or beginning of season 2? I think it's towards the end of season. Oh, was it?
Season 2.
Okay.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, they talk about her in the first season, but like,
I think
you see her in season 2.
Right.
See her more.
That was a biggie. Janet, what about you? Share corner, cry corner.
I don't think I really don't cry too much or too like hard. That could be its own problem, I think. But emotional stuff that I've seen really recently. I've been watching Modern Family, the sitcom. So like light Modern Family spoilers if you still haven't watched that show. It's really good. I'm like 4 or 5 seasons in, not 1 week episode. Very impressive. And I watch a lot of sitcoms. I was really emotional at the again, this is like spoilers for the show, but like it's not that deep. But like Phil's the main character, Phil, like his mom dies and they have her funeral, and like him, I'm like getting emotional just talking about it. Like he ends up talking about like his mom and like how much she cared about everyone, and it was just really beautiful. Like I really liked his like the writing and the portrayal of like that relationship and him kind of sort of slowly realizing how sad he was from his mom. I think it was also really well done because like up until that point, like no one, it's not really like a weepy episode. Like no one's crying or having any breakdowns. They're kind of just there for the funeral. So it kind of reminded me, I think it was a good example of like how mourning and sadness can like hit you at different times and things. And like, you never really like know what's going to shake you up. So like, that was really sad. And then I was losing my mind. I posted this from, you know, I mentioned TikTok earlier. I was losing my mind at this TikTok I saw. And right, you can be cynical and be like, oh, it's probably just like fake or just for views or whatever. But I feel like it exemplifies still something real. And that's the emotional part for me. Like it doesn't have to be true to be real, right? There's this guy who was like on TikTok. He posted this video of him driving it around in Forza Horizon. And he tells this story about how his girlfriend passed away recently. And like they have the drivatars in the game. And he found her there. And he was like, it's like so sad. I'm like starting to cry just talking about it. He's like, I was driving and I was telling her about my day, and like, you know, it hurt because she like doesn't say anything back and stuff. Like it was just so sad. And like, it reminded me a lot of a viral internet story that was a guy talking about like playing like, so similar racing game where you can have like the ghosts and stuff, and like his dad, like, oh, my dad would play this with me all the time, and like he died, and you know, now I like make it so that I never like beat his car so that the file stays there. And I'm like, it's just, I think stuff like that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to see like how that, like, I think a thing that happens all the time, right? Death with a thing that isn't super common, which is gaming. Like plenty of people game, but like, it's not like we talk about a lot in the public eye. So I think stuff like that is really interesting. Like I had also seen a woman on TikTok telling the story about how she loves Animal Crossing, but her partner died and they share the island together, and kind of thinking about, well, I want to make changes, but like, I don't want to move their stuff, and I kind of want to keep everything preserved. And I'm like, you know, I'm moving their house today in the game, and like, I'm taking you guys on this like journey with me to like talk about it. And, you know, I want to be able to enjoy this game again. I know they would want me to enjoy the game too, but you know, it's so like just tough and everything. Like, it's just such an interesting angle that like, I don't think gets discussed a lot. And it's like so sad. So those are my like weepy moments.
Yeah. Those Animal Crossing stories, I feel like pop up every once in a while about just finding that old save and revisiting a town from somebody. Should we take some questions from the community?
Sure.
We said it was going to be a Q&A episode, so I suppose we should.
Yeah. But Q&A stands for,
you could just walk away, Ben. You don't have to do it.
What's an A word that's like death, Jeffem? Come on. There's gotta be something. Come on. All right, chat. What's the Q&A stand for so far? We need your help. It's
this is a reverse Q&A now.
Yeah, quality assurance. I guess Q&A, anti-life. So yeah, quietly anti-life, quiet and dead, says Jerry Systemic.
This is random and from like an hour ago, but someone in chat, I forgot who you were, so if you're still here, like feel free to claim this, asked if any of us have played Epic Mickey and what we thought about it. So I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I was going to play Epic Mickey, and then my uncle fell off a cliff and passed away. And that's not funny, Jeff. Come on.
Now I can't boot it up.
Yeah. No. I should be really into Epic Mickey. That's like the first time, if I may, Jeff, and without offending you or anybody else, that was the first time I really paid attention to Game Informer in a big way, was when you did the relaunch and you launched with that Epic Mickey cover. Janet, do you remember Game Informer's Epic Mickey cover? Look it up.
I don't.
It is freaking cool because also it's like it got rid of all the text. It's like, this is just the game. And I thought like, well, this is my dream game, as somebody like Warren Spector taking Disney history seriously in a way that they've never really done in the gaming space. Outside of like, we made a Fantasia game on Super Nintendo, but actually having a game like we're reviving Oswald the Rabbit. It's really cool.
I feel like they do this way more often now. Like the full on cover. Like, am I tripping or is that like...
That's kind of the default that started with that. Yeah. In fact, I think they've even got cleaner in the latest redesign, because like it used to say the world's #1 video game magazine, and there's like a little bit of text in the corner and stuff. But now I think it's just pure the word Game Informer, right, Jeff?
I think so.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't even put that up there.
That's right. And remember, it's always fun when companies would like be cool with or ask to like change the text on the Game Informer cover, like the Borderlands 2 one. Instead of saying the world's #1 video game magazine, I remember said the world's most badass video game magazine. That's kind of fun. I like that. And like, not to talk too much Game Informer stuff, but that was always my favorite thing with Andy as editor-in-chief, and I assume Reiner is the same way. Both Andy as editor-in-chief, like I love the idea of him running Game Informer, but always pushing people to mess with the cover. Like, I think companies are really sensitive when they're drawing the cover and stuff, but Andy's message is always like, no, please, like, send us versions, be bold, redo our font, we don't care, like come up with a cool new logo for the Game Informer logo and stuff. It was always really fun to see companies experiment with that. Okay, yeah, Epic Mickey. So I need to go back to it. I think I started it and was kind of like, not so much. But I think I own it, and I do have it written down as a potential fun Let's Play at some point, because I do want to go through Epic Mickey. I feel like to be a Disney fan, it's important to see that weird thing happen. I do have a Junction Point, which is the name of the studio. I have a Junction Point windbreaker. So does that stand for something? Did either of you play that thing?
There you go. Man, I want to say I played a little bit of it, but nothing. And it is in a weird spot because that was a huge issue for us, because that was like the relaunch, redesign thing. So I think that's seared in all of our brains, but it never translated it to being like a favorite game.
Yeah, I did beat the game that no one has talked about on Earth since it released, which is Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, which was the 3DS version that it released around the same time as Epic Mickey 2, which was kind of a big Castle of Illusion homage that I thought was good. And then reviews came out and everyone told me that it was actually bad. So I guess I don't know anything about 2D platformers. I didn't really play a lot of it back in the day and stuff. So
maybe I'll try that then. The only one I've played is Epic Mickey The Power of 2, because it had, and I don't know if Epic Mickey 1 has co-op, but Epic Mickey 2 does. Hence the Power of 2.
That's it.
So I was like, I picked it up randomly with my brother. This is like way after launch. Like, we're already adults. This was like a few years ago. And we're like, yeah, this is going to be great. This seems awesome. And I love the concept. Did not like the execution. Like, it just didn't quite feel right. And obviously it is older at this point, but there's also older stuff that I play that's still like, more enjoyable. So I'm guessing that maybe it was just a classic sequel dip that sometimes happens. So I'm down to play the first one, because maybe that one is more fine-tuned. And the vibe I got from people was that 2 wasn't as good as 1. So I'm like, maybe it doesn't need to be that good. Like, just a little, because it kind of gave like Luigi's Mansion vibes to me with like the paintbrush. I think was fun. Like, I don't know. I wanted to like it. So maybe 1 will be the one that does it. Yeah,
I remember, right when I got to Game Informer, seeing like Matt Miller reviewing it. And I was so excited to like watch him play it for a while. But yeah, I think even in the Jason Schreier book, I think it's the last one, it talks about the development. Maybe it was the first one, the development of those games. One of those Jason Schreier books, which are very good, talks about just what went wrong and just a rushed sequel. And they eventually actually pitched Disney on an Epic Donald. But at that point, Disney was like, nope, we're good. Get out. Tanner Baum submits a question. Sorry, I missed it earlier. He says, hi. Have you all ever read Edge? Rest in peace, Magazine Memories, which was the show that didn't win for
I
Show Plus.
don't think so. really most of my magazine stuff was Game Informer. Oh my God, what's EGM? I think that's kind of it. Like EGM was like the one that I hit really heavy as a kid. And like to this day, I don't even remember if it was EGM because maybe it was another magazine. I remember being a kid and reading an article about, and I'm trying to find this. I've asked Kelsey before. I'm like, if you find this, like I've been looking for it for my whole life, this article about, which may or may not be an EGM article, about crunch in the video game industry. The title was something like what it's like to be a game developer, and the art was like horrific. It was like someone burnt out at a desk, like really messed up, like Coraline vibes, like stacks of papers. And it was this article about how horrible it is to make games and how hard it is and how brutal it is. And I read that article and I was really young and I was like, well, I guess I'm never going to make games. And I, at that very moment, decided I would never be a game developer. Because before I'm like, well, maybe making games would be fun. Like I like games. Maybe I want to make games. And then I read that article and I'm like, I don't want to make games. But then it's like, oh, joke's on you. You will still experience bad working conditions at one point. But you know, what can you do? I was like a kid and I don't have a time machine. So still in games. Yeah. Just not making them.
Yeah, Tanner, I think I've read some Edge. I want to say, did we get it in the office, Jeff?
Yeah, probably. I think there was probably a stack of them in the bathroom.
Yeah, that might be it. I always think of the like the No Man's Sky cover of Edge, but yeah, I didn't read it a lot, but it seemed cool.
I had a couple when I was a teenager, but maybe it was just the issues that I had, but it seemed much more tech focused, and just wasn't it. I mean, I had like a couple of issues of those and then like Nintendo Power when I was at that age. So Nintendo Power was more interesting at the time.
Right.
I went to Game Informer and EGM was also my big one. And then I had Official Xbox Magazine, which used to come with the demo discs, which was so cool.
So sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, God, I didn't subscribe to any gaming magazines growing up, which is such a mistake. I would have devoured those. I was instead just like obsessed with Lego. I call magazines as a stretch. Just kind of like there's kind of like the sales booklet for Lego, just showing off the different sets. Like that was my magazine. Well, I guess I also had like highlights and Ranger Rick and stuff, but I was just obsessed with that. I'd imagine I would get so obsessed with gaming magazines if I would have had them. And I remember at some point seeing like a gaming magazine at a gas station, and it had a demo disc in it for like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 maybe, and I was just obsessed with like I need this, and then I didn't get it and I never found it again, and I should have subscribed right then. If only I would have known that there were more demo discs I could have had in the mail.
That's right.
Duke Faison is getting us right back on track talking about games and asks, have you ever thought of what will happen to your video game collection when you die?
So this is the full like convergence of the two topics that we're covering today. Mm-hmm. Do I ever think about it? Not too often. I have thought about, what is it called? Like game rot, right? When your physical games just decay after a long time. Like this isn't going to happen in your lifetime. Like if you own a disc, that disc will be fine forever. But like, you know, double your life over, like they would just start deteriorating. So I think about that a little bit. I also think about, I don't know, people being stuck with all my garbage. Cause especially like my collection, I'm not pulling like heavy hitters right now. There is no like, oh, I have the Nintendo PlayStation back here. Like I don't have anything of like value or intrigue here. I have like, I have like 2 different PR flashlights sent to me from different games. For some reason, game companies love sending flashlights. Like that's not gonna move the needle for anyone. So I don't know, I guess they'd probably get rid of it. You know, my current partner is also a gamer, but I don't think he likes all of the stuff I have, so I don't know how much use he'd get out of it. We're also going discless at this point, so it's like, what are these doing here? Honestly, they're probably just going to get like thrown in the garbage, like most things, but I don't know.
Just dumped off at some Goodwill or something.
Yeah, I have a much more problematic hobby that I think about in terms of that.
Tabletop.
Plaguing my wife someday of like, good Lord, what would she do? I hope to have it under control before then and have it down to like one shelf of games that we really like.
You're never going to do it though.
Well, I have till what? It was 72?
Yeah, 75, yeah.
But you're also going to pick up more games.
But Markia Fava specifically is I was going by.
Yeah,
so.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm going by.
I don't know.
The
video games seem like a small problem. That's like a couple boxes, you know.
Yeah, you can see behind me most of my video game collections, kind of like on those two shelves there. But I think just because of video games, like I like just collecting them, and I've kind of carried that forward to tabletop stuff as well, where our tabletop shelf is overflowing. And my fiance is always trying to like get us to give some away or throw them away or do something. It's like, no, I like having them. And she's like, when was the last time we played Loaded Questions or Seinfeld
That's
Trivia?
a loaded question.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, I like having these old games around. You never know, right? And it's just unfortunate that they're so big that you just eventually need to have a whole frickin' wall dedicated to it, like Freako Jeffem here.
Like, yeah.
I'm starting to build that wall. I mean, I'm not going to fully build it probably in my current apartment because
Right.
it's me, my boyfriend, my brother, his fiance, and my dad. So it's like we have communal like areas where, you know, we have stuff. Like I leave all my board games now out in the living room because I'm like, I used to keep them in our bedroom, but I'm like, what's the point? I literally have to take them out of the room to play them on the table. Like they might as well just be in the living room. And then
Right.
a lot of the games too are like, you know, we'll play like some games with my family, like my brother and his fiance. So it's like, well, we might as well just have them out there and anyone can use them. But they've taken up like most of a small shelf, like 2 of the little rows of like a small shelf. And I think eventually I probably would just go full out because it's just, I mean, it's funny because it's like a fairly expensive hobby. Like even compared to like, you know, video games, like there are board games that are like $40, $50, you know?
Much more than that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like, and that's like on the mid end. There's also cheaper stuff. Like we pick up like $20 things all the time. But I like it so much as like a new hobby for me. And like me and my boyfriend will go like, we'll like make a whole date out of it where we're like spend some time like picking out the game at the shop and then we come back and then like, it's like a whole process. And it's like, I don't know. I also just like having them, but I have only played, there's so few of them that I've played like that many times where I kind of just like, I played Everdell once, but it took me so long to play that I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to build that tree again. It's just such a whole production.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck to like, we have Pandemic Legacy, which we started playing right before the pandemic hit. And then we played it like 5 or 6 times and then kind of trailed off. So now we're in a weird spot of like, are we ever going to go back and pick up that campaign of Pandemic Legacy? We don't remember what the story was doing, where we're at. I think we were kind of screwed. I think like zombies basically had taken over the world at that point. But it's just like the idea of jumping back into the middle of a legacy game just seems impossible. And realistically, we should just throw it away.
I have never played a legacy game, and in the beginning it was because I don't like the idea of you can only play the game 12 or 15 times and then you know, basically it's done. But over the like past couple of years, I've realized that really isn't a problem because I could like very few games I've played that many times anyway. But it's more you're going to be committed to playing it 12 or 15 times. Otherwise, you get into that situation where it's just like, I got Red Dead 2 for that. I don't need board games hanging over my head too.
You don't have to leave things hanging over your head. You can take them and put them in front of your hands and play them and finish them. Jeff, that's an option.
How it works?
That's how it works.
When they come out with the PS5 version, I'll switch to that. They got to be remastering that, right?
Yeah, but it's looking beautiful on
Red
PC.
Dead?
You got that version of PC just sitting there, Jeff. It's just waiting.
I don't know if they're gonna. Do we think they're gonna make a PS5 version of that game?
Yeah, totally. Don't you think? That seems like a shoe-in.
They're just aren't they like? What are they doing now? Aren't they like busy doing other stuff? Am I like mixing them up? With
No, I mean
company?
they said GTA 6. There was Take-Two had like an earnings call where they said we anticipate a big game releasing in like 2024 or something like that. So everybody seems to be on the same page that's when they expect GTA 6 to come around. So they got to have some trickling stuff before then. I think having that PS5 version of Red Dead is up there.
They're doing a PS5 version of GTA 5 though too, right? That got like delayed for a while.
Right.
When is that coming out? That's coming out this year, right?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I'm excited. I've never played GTA 5. I'm like one of the freaks who still buy the game like 8 million years later. So I'm excited for that version so I can finally give it a go because that's like one of the few ones I haven't played.
I bet you won't get through that campaign. Like I enjoyed that campaign fine, then I just slowly trailed off.
You're probably not wrong.
Thank you. Thank
What
you.
are we betting here? Do I have my whole life till I'm like 70, whatever, if I'm, gonna make it to the Marquis of Fava age?
Yeah, you have until Jeffem finishes Red Dead. So I guess your entire life to finish GTA.
Oh,
you're
Rockstar
good.
race.
That's
Okay.
eternity.
Yeah, you're set. What about, Jeffem, you're talking about legacy games. Did you ever end up playing The Initiative, which is kind of like a light legacy game where it's just an ongoing story? I think I shipped it to you last year. We promoted it on the podcast, and it's actually good and cool.
Yeah, not yet. That would probably, I guess that would be the one because that one I don't feel intimidated by. I feel that would be doable.
And I still
got to play Dustbiters, okay?
You haven't played Dustbiters? Jesus Christ.
The one that was sitting in front of your house?
Yeah, for like 16 months or whatever.
Yeah.
You maniac. What the hell is going on over there?
I know. We haven't, it's been a weird time over here. We haven't been playing board games, but we hope to start again very soon.
Okay. So. Hey, we promised this is going to be a rapid fire Q&A, so I'm just going to start running down these. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Drew
Yes.
RWX says, question, which podcast do you want to appear on? Blank Check. I don't know what other ones. I would like to be on the Easy Allies podcast again. Anybody else got one they want to throw out there?
Waypoint. Well, we mentioned these
right.
once for community questions. So
right.
I was like, okay, I already know the answer for this because we answered it.
Jeff, you got to throw out an answer, dude.
MinnMax show.
Great. Wonderful. Please. Hot plug. Shipwright42 says, would you ever consider a deepest dive on one of the Kingdom Hearts games? I have it written down as an option. They're a little bit long, so my gut is saying probably not. Duke Faison, do you still have your Wii out? You can't ask that.
I never owned the Wii. I hated it. I hated the motion controls. I thought it was stupid as hell. I thought it looked like a dumb remote.
Oh.
Now that I've matured, I still hate it. I've never liked it. It's the only Nintendo console I've never owned.
Jesus Christ. My Wii is out.
Unleash the Kraken.
Yeah.
And then what was terrible too, and I was supposed to wrap the Wii U, some games would require the Wii peripheral.
Right.
So I had to own the remotes. It was so dumb. But
yeah.
Anyway.
I got the Wii U out in the studio, and then the Wii is still out at my parents' house. Every time I go home, I see Kirby's Epic Yarn sitting there, and it's like, maybe I should start playing that again because I like that game. I like that silly game. Okay, everybody has to jump in, otherwise I'm moving on. This is a train, and so I'm not going to go around and say, Jeff, this is your turn to answer. You just got to jump in or not. Here we go.
Yeah.
Baxter says...
The Wii's long gone.
Yep. Okay, there it is.
I got rid of the PS3 recently.
Ooh, wow. Devastating.
How dare you?
And that got all boxed up. I mean, I still have it and a box of PS3 games in the closet, but it doesn't have a spot on the shelf anymore.
It's out of the rotation. That's fair.
Bexler says, when can we expect the deepest dive on Blinks the Time Sweeper? Never.
Probably never.
Yeah, if we last for 300 years, we will never do the deepest dive on Blinks the Time Sweeper as Cosmo, unless Phil Spencer joins us for it. If he did that, then we would probably do it. Super Nintendo.
Once Microsoft buys MinnMax for $100 million.
That's right. $100 million. That's our price. Super Nintendo. How about the Simpsons DS game? Did you like that and play that? I didn't play that, and I didn't play the Simpsons console game from around that era, about 2006 or something like that. But I wanted to for a long time. Let's see. Questions. Ooh, Luck here wrote for EGM and Nintendo World in Brazil for more than 7 years. That's cool. Question. Aaron J. Bear, how excited are you for the James Webb Telescope, and what are you hoping is discovered about the universe? Yeah, I watched that 60 Minutes piece on that. That's coming up soon, right? Like, it's one of those where they told us we're going to get those new images, and it was shockingly soon. But yeah, I'm excited for, showing in the deep dark space and whatnot, but I'm also just excited about that idea of like, yeah, just aim that sucker at like some moons of Saturn and stuff. Well, I guess we have like satellites around those, but aim it within our solar system. I want to see those shots more than anything. So I'd rather see a close-up of Pluto, I think, than another blurry image of a galaxy.
What's so special about this telescope?
It's bigger and better than the Hubble.
The biggest telescope they've built so far.
Yep.
Now, the sun isn't gonna go in through the lens and then like burn all of Earth.
I think so.
Backward.
That was the pitch.
Ants in a magnifying glass.
That was the pitch that NASA signed off on.
I hope they figured that out before they.
It is crazy.
Take the cap off the end of it.
Don't take the cap off. There was a 60 Minutes video about it, and it's crazy because like they're interviewing all these scientists and engineers because it's just like a really complicated shape and it has to go up into space, obviously, and then like unfold. And there's so many weird moving parts that they're talking about like, oh yeah, there's like a 16 stage transformation it has to go through. And at any point, if there's a point of failure, then billions are just out the window. And now it's just going to be drifting up there forever doing nothing.
Sweet.
And it's just, it's just so crazy to think about.
Isn't space full of crap too?
Yeah, it is. It is
like
full of crap.
Defunct satellites and all kinds of.
But I think this one's. I don't think this one's in orbit. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is one that there's like, just like shooting out there, and then we'll ride it as long as we can. I think. Anyways, I'm sure I'm wrong about that. Sidewinder says, "Did any of you play Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice? And are you interested in the sequel?" I started.
No, but yes.
Oh no, but yes. Okay, yeah, I got like a third of the way through. I'm partial to that game after visiting the studio for the cover story, but like, I just didn't really enjoy the core gameplay of lining up runes and stuff, and I got stuck, and I said, meh. I mean, Leafeon, what were your first video game memories?
Probably two really stand out, playing like Yoshi's Island, because that was an early game that I played on the SNES Junior, and then an early one, and a lot of these memories get all blurred out because I was so young, was getting my Game Boy the day I got my Game Boy Pocket at my grandma's house for Christmas. My brother got the chunky Game Boy, or he already had it, and I got the Game Boy Pocket, and it came with Smurfs, like the Smurfs video game for Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
And that was the first game I played where I was like, this game sucks. And it was also the first game that taught me that not all games have the same like constraints. Like that is a platformer, but you cannot jump on enemies' heads to kill them. You don't actually have any offensive attacks in Smurfs, which is, I think, one reason that didn't hit for me. And yeah, though the log area in that game, that thing slaps. It was fun riding the little logs down the river, but it was interesting to see this is a platformer that functions differently than what I'm used to, which is Mario.
Yeah.
I still played it though, because that's the only game I had for it until we went to the store.
That seems good. My first video game was maybe Apple II, so probably Oregon Trail, or it might have been at my cousin's, my aunt and uncle's. They had a handheld version of Donkey Kong that was produced by Coleco. It was just like, the light up screen thingy. And so it was probably that.
My parents had a Bally Astrocade, which was kind of like an Atari knockoff. And they had a bunch of very old kind of Pong-like rip-off games for it. It was a little more advanced than Pong, but it was like the old era before video games crashed because they were so bad, and they clearly didn't understand. Like the manufacturers didn't even know what people were going to use it for, because one of the games was a calculator, and it had like the console had like the 9-digit number pad on the side of the console that you could, do your taxes on. But the other games, the controllers were shaped like pistol grips, and even like textured like a pistol grip. Yeah. And it had a trigger, but then on the top it had a joystick that you could also twist too. And so they did some interesting game mechanics with that. But
every old console is basically just like a bop it. It's like, we don't know what video games are yet, so let's just pack all this nonsense in there.
We're trying stuff, yeah.
Thank you, Drew, for the big sub on Twitch. Shipwright, have any of you ever played D&D? Yes, I played a couple years ago. Kind of trailed off, but Ronnie was our DM, and then it stressed him out too much, and then it kind of imploded after 5 sessions or something like that. But either of you?
I think some...
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
We're losing him. Quick, Janet.
Campaign killed him.
Answer quickly.
I haven't played.
Okay.
I haven't played. It seems like it's like really long and too much. The concept of D&D is actually what put me off to the concept of board games entirely. That being said, I'll probably come in and play it at some point, I'm sure. Because it sounds fun. People say it's fun.
Of course.
So I don't know.
There's a reason it's stuck around for so long. Jeff, I'm sorry. Your answer is?
Yes. We played a werewolf kind of spin-off game that, I mean, it was probably like different role-playing rules, but you could turn into a werewolf, and that was pretty cool. We only did it a couple times, but...
Well, you get bored. Werewolves also get bored after a while, and they kind of want to stop turning into a werewolf constantly. Takashiki Tano 3, what open world game had your favorite world to spend time in? I'm being honest, probably San Andreas.
Probably Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, there it is. And Jeff, Red Dead?
Probably Red Dead.
You son of
That's the problem.
God. Cly Octopus asks, does anyone here want to watch Jackass Forever? Absolutely. Day one. I'm all in on Jackass Forever. Nah?
No.
Okay, it's going to be funny and silly.
Nah, it's too, like, I've seen some Jackass stuff. It's not like it's never not funny. But it's like, I don't have any, I'm good. It's like too bro-y for me. No offense.
No, but I think that's fair. It's interesting that like in the trailers, at least for Jackass Forever, it seems like they're trying to get some women in there and get like a new crew to some extent to try to get it away from the old bro scene. Most of them
and you can be
are
a
not
bro
doing
woman.
great.
Like bro knows no gender. It's an attitude. Like people hurting themselves and then spending like all this money on medical care in like a country that has no medical care. Like, I don't know, like the vibes are not there for me.
You really think about the American healthcare system when you watch Jackass?
A little bit. I mean, now that I'm like older, you know, and obviously you're older than me, but like now that I'm older, like it's just kind of, I don't know. I'm just watching people wail on each other, which that's the point, right? It's called Jackass because that is the behavior. But I'm like, I'm just not interested in like watching somebody's arm break and then it's like, whoa, that's wild. Like, it's fine.
But what if instead of somebody's arm breaking, it was like, you know, just them huffing somebody else's fart and puking?
Probably pass. I think
pass.
too. Oh, theaters only too, right? I'm not risking my life for that.
Yeah, it's the ultimate Jackass move. But
I risked my life for Spider-Man, and I think that's it so far. It's mostly Spider-Man.
Jackass is my Spider-Man. Jeff, are you a Jackass guy? It seems like you are.
I saw a couple of the movies, I think.
Really? That's your attitude about it?
I guess it was a guilty pleasure at some, like 10 years ago or probably closer to 20 years ago now.
45 years ago.
I don't know that I want to go back to that.
Okay, all right. Chris N asked, do you only ever use a single save slot or do you break out your game into multiple save slots? Oh,
always multiple.
Yeah, just an S show in there. Yep.
Yeah, I use as many as they give me. And that used to be a problem. I think, I don't know if it was Skyrim. Like, I need the game to say, okay, you have 10 save slots, and then you have to start saving over the older ones. Because I'm sure I had, like, 10 gigabytes worth of save slots in Skyrim because I just kept on making new saves every time.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they let you, too, like, pin or, like, mark a save file, because I have, like, what I'm really doing and then, like, my emergency saves. Because, like, I personally don't use it for save scumming mostly. Maybe I've done that, like, once in my life. I'm not above save scumming, but, like, it's more just, like, I don't know, if the save evaporates, I cannot start from zero. That's what I make them for. So I do get lazy after a while and, like, I stop making them. But I always have at least, like, a couple. Except I don't think I do that on, like, Game Boy cartridges, where there's, like, 3 save files. I think I just do the one, because then that's how you would share with your siblings. Like, I'm file A, you're file B. File C is like that random Sunday where you decide to replay the game and no one ever actually clears it. And we can, like, that's the one we can delete and write over.
Something I still lose sleep about is going over to my friend's place, and he was all in on Pokemon Blue. And he had finished the game, like beat the Elite Four. He had this amazing save. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to try Pokemon. And he's like, here.
I'm scared.
No, he's just like, here you go. There's only one save slot, sir. I'll just delete my game and you can just start a new game. It's like, what? I still cannot imagine that idea of just like, yeah, no problem. You said you want to start it and I'm a good friend, so here you go. It's like the most selfless thing anybody's ever done, just so I could get like a level 10 Squirtle and be like, okay, Bubble seems neat. See ya. Like, it was just bold.
And 20 years later, still neat.
It's still kind of neat. Let's see. Oddly Otter asks, is it just me or does Jeffem kind of look like Eminem? I've never seen him in the same room together.
Never heard that before.
You know, like what? Like modern Eminem? Eminem doesn't really have a beard like that, I don't think.
Decrepit, aging Eminem. I watched...
Well, because he has like black hair now, you know? But that's like...
Does he?
I think they're just both white men. Like, I think, you know, that could...
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that might be it.
That's always the secret.
Now I see what they mean. That's kind of, I don't agree.
Oh God,
but that
do
is
I
a
have
little
to
bit
look
funny.
up old
Hold on,
Eminem
let me Slack
now?
it to you. Wait, no, let me Discord it. Again, I don't agree, but if I if I take off my glasses.
Oh, okay.
You'll have general, like, the shape of your face. Like, they just have beards.
I can see the beard. If I had that hat,
okay,
I could probably.
But
yeah, it's still just because we're both white.
That's it.
Yes, but beard. I have a question though for both of you.
Oh yeah.
Do you think other animals talk to other animals and say, "Hey, yo, that squirrel looks just like you," like that other squirrel, like how we do as humans?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I guess you have to be dolphins, right? Like, let's go for like really animals that can really talk. I bet dolphins communicate about similar looks. I bet. And there's like celebrity dolphins. There's like hot dolphins. Are there hot animals other than Knuckles?
I think Disney is the one that makes the hot animals, you know, because they add those human eyebrows to everything.
The original name is the Hot Animal Factory, I think. Yeah. There must be.
I don't know.
Like more symmetrical animals.
Because, you know, like in the kingdoms too, they talk about like, oh, this one has like the really nice feathers, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't think we can perceive that at all, but like there's cues within their communities.
I think so.
I think.
Speaking of hot, I watched a Tragedy of Macbeth not too long ago. And there's an actor named Alex Hassel. And in the movie, there's not a good image of it online, but in the movie, I think he looks so much like Jeffem. Tell me, am I nuts? I just sent a little thingy your way. Is there anything there? You seen it a little bit?
So it's there a little bit. It's the widow's peak energy, specifically, not the actual eyes.
It's
the eyes are already downturned.
I think.
Oh, the balding guy. But
some of those pictures remind me more of Brian Hansen.
Well, it's like a beautiful fusion of you and Brian Vore, I guess. Yeah. Super Nintendo asked, "Will you risk your life to see the Batman in theaters, Janet?"
Ooh. Oh, yeah, 100%. Because also my boyfriend's like a huge fan of Batman.
Huh.
Like he loves Batman. Our cat is named Bruce after Batman.
Shut up.
Exactly right. She doesn't know. But yeah, I don't see a world where that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Jeffem, have you heard the new Batman theme?
No. There's a theme to it?
Is there a theme to it? I guess we're going to get nuked if we probably
Batman
play this.
Batman doesn't dance anymore.
I'd say, I'm trying to remember. It's just, it's interesting. They're kind of like, Giacchino's doing the new Batman theme. It is the theme for all music now. But he's kind of taking like a Terminator-like approach, where you know the theme to the Terminator, right, Jeffem? Right. It's like, I just want to play a little bit of the new Batman theme, just because I'm trying to remember. It's just like, it is so simple. It's just like 3 core notes. Let me see if I can get this to play without it nuking us from orbit. All right, here we go. Yeah. Okay, so it's just dun 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 dun, and they've used it in all the trailers so far, and it's so effective. I just love it for like that simple Terminator-esque, Jaws-like simplicity of it. So get ready for that to rock people's world probably after they see that film. So
I agree with Duke in the chat who says sounds like a video game menu. It definitely does.
Yeah,
like 100%.
I can see it. All right, I think that might be it. Unless there's some quick rapid fire questions the community has, I think we might be wrapping up bonus podcast, everybody. And if you want this to continue on next week, who knows where we're going next week? You can vote for it by supporting us at the $10 tier. We appreciate it. People are asking, what number is Leo thinking of? 2, as in
37.
Yeah, probably 37.
Also, what bread makes the best toast? Sourdough, I think, is really good. Also, y'all, before we leave, we mentioned movies. What do y'all get when you go to the movies, if you get anything? Do you get any, like, what do you get in the concessions? Or what are you lining your pockets with before you enter the theater?
I'm not big on concessions. I'm not a big popcorn person because it upsets my stupid tummy. I'm not a big pop person. We call it pop around here. Because then you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the theater, which is in the middle of the theater, which there's no other option. You know, but I don't want to miss a second of the movie. So I don't like drinking beer or any liquids surrounding a film. For a while it was Sour Patch Kids, but then I always feel rough after it. So I go nothing.
Y'all are watching these movies dry? Like
watching them dry.
You're not drinking anything? You're not.
No. Yeah. I don't drink for the same reason. I don't want to get up during the movie. If it's at home, then fine, I can pause it. But if I'm at the theater, maybe popcorn, and that's it.
Maybe popcorn.
But then if it's super salty, and you're not drinking anything, I'm going to get dehydrated. This is what you got to worry about when you're old.
It's fun times. Well, hey, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week with a new episode of New Show Plus, and look forward to the main episode of the MinnMax Show podcast this week, where we'll be talking about our biggest predictions for 2022. And what else do they look forward to? Oh yeah, deepest dive on Pokemon Legends Arceus coming up soon. So get ready for that. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Bye. Every week, we let Patreon supporters choose which new show we create with New Show Plus. Should we create another episode of the show you just watched? Check out the biggest new game release? Get into Sea of Thieves? Create an exercise show? It is your call. So thanks to everybody who subscribes on YouTube or supports us over on Patreon. MinnMax exists because of you. As always, if you enjoy MinnMax content, any help telling a friend is appreciated.